right, I believe we are live. Hello, hello, hello. It is 9 o'clock on the nose. Okay, I am so on time because I have been waiting all day all week actually, to get back with you all. I am Marlena Cole. I am a dating coach for single, ambitious women who desire to be in a committed relationship or marriage, but are struggling to meet quality men on their level. I help them meet, connect, and with men, quality men, and build healthy relationships. I am a dating coach who are preparing women for a long-term relationship and or marriage, a lifetime relationship, whether that's marriage or just being in a committed relationship. I have created a program that is called Love Me Right. The framework is called Love Me Right. I have different courses where it's one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and I'm also building out a online kind of self-study as well. And so I am going to give you all a minute to come on in, invite your friends, share, share, share. We are talking about how to find the prince in the Playboy. This is a series. We started last week, this week, and we'll probably do one more next week, loosely based on the new marriage of Prince Harry and Meghan, because that has been the big buzz, right? It still is. That is just so amazing. The royal weddings are always just amazing. But then to have someone kind of look like me puts a whole new perspective on finding your Prince Charming. And I can't see who's in here, so let me see how I can adjust. Oh, Angela. Hi, Angela. Okay, so the Prince and the Playboy. So if you're in there, say hi, type it in. For some reason, I can't see. I can see Angela, and I don't want to end the live video, but this looks like my only option to get it going. Erica. All right, make sure you share, share, share. Like the way that's shown. Okay, we are talking about, like I said, how to find the prince in the Playboy, the series, because I have been watching and paying attention and kind of going back through all the videos and the notes about Prince Harry and Meghan and how they met and how the sister got her real life prince. But I truly believe there is a prince in every what I call Playboy. And so let's jump in because I want to keep these short and sweet. Again, I am Marlena Cole. I am a dating coach for single, ambitious women who desire to be in a marriage or committed relationship. I help them meet and connect with men and start building healthy relationships that lead to a long lifetime commitment of marriage. So let's jump in. So we discovered a new definition of the Playboy and the Prince. And so I'm looking to the side because I have my notes over here. I may start doing these as webinars because I'm a visual kinetic learner, so I love having my PowerPoint slides and all of that. So I'm struggling that I don't have anything to show you all. But let me remind everyone of our definition of a Playboy. So last week we were talking about how all men keep score. I mean, it's not right or wrong, good or bad. They all keep score. They all have a measuring stick in life. It's not just about women, but it's in life. They all keep score. And that's not to say women don't, but I know for sure men do. And so the Playboy is a man that keeps score and needs to be able to measure things that happens in his life that feeds his ego and his need for acceptance. So this is typically the man who is still just after something, right? And we all still need money, right? But he's still trying to have not reached that level of success that, hi, Jocelyn, if I don't see your name, that means I don't see you. So type in, hi, Marlena, so it can pop up in the feed so I can welcome you, Angela, Erica, Jocelyn. And so the Playboy is the one, again, who's feeding his ego. He's measuring things, which all men do, but it's to feed his ego and his need for acceptance. And he's trying to find his way in life, have not reached that level of what he considers success. Whether it's in the boardroom, the bedroom, or the locker room, all men keep score. And so the Playboy, in my definition, is not necessarily one who's running around with different women. He could have one woman. He could, or many, and he could be and this also it's not necessarily a single man. He could be a married man who's still, hi Crystal, still trying to discover himself, still have not reached that level yet in life where he's comfortable with who he is as a man and where he's going. And so the prince, which I believe there's a prince in all of our men, even the Playboys, they also keep score. However, theirs are based more on knowing and moving forward in his life with a purpose. He knows his purpose. He knows where he is now and what's next. He may not know what's 5 or 10 years down the line, but he is comfortable with where he is and what's next. And his measuring stick is grounded in love and honesty and loyalty. And so the prince knows that his measurements is feeding his need and his understanding that he needs a beautiful woman in his life, and that it's not good for him to be alone, and other things too. But as it relates to love and dating, that's who our prince is. And so we were talking a little bit last week on that all men keep score. There's a prince in every Playboy, and then we got to the point where we were talking about how a lot of times men are emotionally shut down, and it's hard for women to see, although they're still showing up, they're still calling, taking us on dates, bringing flowers. And again, this is not isolated to single men. This can be husbands as well who can be emotionally shut down in a relationship, appear to be there and not be there. And so we were talking through what that looks like and what we need to do. So if you missed that, go back to my page, look for last week. Hopefully that was a good backdrop. So what came up on the call last week, which I thought was perfect, I believe it was Angela, Deneen, and Erica mentioned, because I was talking about how as a woman, our feminine energy and our presence can help make the Playboy inside of the prince feel more comfortable, or the prince inside the Playboy to feel more comfortable to come out when we show up just being who we are authentically. And one of the things that Megan, when she was introduced or wanting to be introduced, or let me slow down, when someone wanted to introduce Megan to Prince, Prince Harry, her first question was, is he kind? And to me, that was her feminine energy coming out. Not, is he rich? What about that Playboy status? Is he still with that woman he was with for 7 years? It was, is he kind? And that is in my mind, more of a feminine energy. And so what came up from some of those who are watching was that, hey, Marlena, should I be begging? I struggle with how to show the feminine side of me because I've been independent most of my life. And so how do I do that? And so I wanted to circle back and add that in because I think it was a perfect question. And as a matter of fact, on one of my coaching calls this week, I had to go through the same conversation with one of my ladies who's very successful. She has her own, right? She's doing her thing. She's just living her life, and that's she feels is one of her barriers, is that men feel like she's cold, uninterested, kind of intimidated by her. They're not really sure if they're really in there or not with her. And she was like, I like them. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's really boiled down to how she viewed being feminine and independent, and showing that so that she can build the relationship she wants. So type in the chat, and hopefully I can see everybody's chat. When I say feminine energy or femininity, what words come to mind? So I'm gonna type some that came up in my coaching call, and I'm gonna look at my notes real quick. And so some of the things she said was submissive. She said submissive. She also said vulnerable. So what words, and hopefully I don't spell that wrong, and prissy, she was like, kind of like dainty is what she said. What words come to mind when I say your feminine energy, or when you think of yourself being feminine as it relates to being in a relationship? And before you do that, let me step back and ask you on the call, because I see some of the women from last week who said that they struggle with being independent and being feminine and letting men know that it's safe for them to talk to them. Do anyone else on the call struggle with that. Crystal, Jocelyn, I don't believe you were here last week. Have you had men say, you know, they're intimidated by you, or they're not sure if they like you? It's kind of hard to read you. Have you ever had that before? Type it in the chat, let me know. And so again, a lot of times, one of the things we mentioned last week as well is that with keeping score, and when you have women, I think this is a universal thing now, when you have women who are highly educated, doctors, lawyers, I mean, really driven, traveling the world, different countries, I mean, making their own money, making their own moves in life, volunteering, CEOs, you know, on the boards, doing all these things, mothers, and, you know, just doing all these wonderful things. When you think about men and how they like to keep score, a lot of times they don't know how to keep score with ambitious women. And so they do feel a little taken back, like, well, where do I fit in? How do I get? And sometimes, if depending on where they are in their life, they may just move on to the next person, right? If they're not trying to have that challenge or try to get to know you more, they may just move on, right? And then it appears that men like women who are maybe less achieved in a sense, right? So Crystal says, I struggle with it. Haven't gotten the feedback from men, but I know it to be an issue. Yeah, softness, creativity, trust. Oh, yes, I love that. Erica says passive aggressive. Angela said, you know, I have. Your comment is ending there. So sometimes what I noticed, and I happened to notice this with my coaching client, and I think it came up in this same context last week, is that somehow I can't be feminine because I'm independent. And so I think a lot of times when we are independent, we feel that being feminine, that softness, that, you know, that kind of damsel in distress, kind of what people view as being feminine, don't come across, because it's like, hey, I can do it by myself. I am doing it by myself. And some of the words when I was working through with my coaching client, and there was a whole lot that came out, but it's that, hey, you can be both. You can be feminine and independent. And I'm like, how is being feminine and independent differently? How do they clash? And so do you all feel that for you, that being showing that softer side of you, that passive side, if you will, that submissive side of you, conflicts with you being a woman who gets it, right? Who wakes up every day, running her own business, calling the shots at work, I mean, doing your thing. Do you feel those two things are in conflict? We got about 15 minutes. I think we're doing good with time. And I'm going to put my website back up here for those lovemeright.net. So if you're not already on my email list, I'd love for you to join. I have a special video training for you that will help you if you're find yourself in a pattern of failed relationships. It is a very good training to help you see what's going on and how the relationship is falling apart and how you can course correct. Erica says that, is that not the guy's issue that they don't know how to deal with an independent woman? Is it? Good question, Erica. So I think, and so for me, if you don't know or haven't heard me say, I get to play right both ends. I'm Switzerland. So I'm on the men's side, I'm on the women's side, because my job is to get you all married. And so I think it becomes then both of our issues, right? If I'm this independent woman and they don't know, or my energy don't allow them to feel comfortable in my presence, then it's not just his problem, it's my problem too, because that could be my husband. Right? That can be my next business partner. Every man, I have this thing, if every man is your husband, then nobody is your husband, right? So every man we meet or potential guy we like, everybody can't be our husband. So I think it could be both of our problems, right? If we're trying to build this connection and he doesn't know how to approach me because he doesn't know how to keep score because I'm an independent woman, then it's both of our problems. And then how do we solve this? Angela says, I have often felt as conflicting, plus previous experience have taught me to control the situation and be rigid. Yes, yes, control. So let's talk about being independent. We talked about the feminine side. So being independent, what does that mean to you? I see control, being rigid. I would think being guarded, being able to take care of yourself. What does independent mean to you? And so for me, I believe that I don't think anybody's truly independent, honestly. I think that there is a level of independence where we get up and make a choice every day. I think that's the level of independence that we all have, is that I have a choice. But outside of that, I think we're all very dependent. Right? I think we're dependent, if you have your own business, you're dependent on customers, right? You're dependent on your clients to pay you. If you have a 9-to-5, you're dependent on the company to pay you your check, to give you the projects. If you're driving a car, I think, you're dependent on the other person to stay in their lane or to fix it right. I think we're all to some point independent or dependent. But I think what society has said is that what society has said is that, well, I'm an independent woman because I don't need a man or need somebody to do it for me. And that is a view of being independent. But we're all technically, and maybe I'm being too technical, but technically we are all dependent on something or someone. I think the true 100% independence only comes with our choice, right? Angela said when she think of independent, guarded, reluctant to ask for help, not wanting to be embarrassed or dependent on someone else, and they not come through, my biggest fear. Absolutely, Angela. You're still in my limelight, Angela, because that's where I'm headed with this, with being independent and being feminine and being able to show that softer side of us. To me, femininity, being feminine, is being supportive, being friendly, being approachable, being compassionate, being submissive. Submissive to me is power under control. It's not the kind of doormat submissive where you get to walk over me, but it is being collaborative. And so when I think of me being feminine, those are the qualities that I think of for myself, and that's what I bring to the table. So I'm gonna type some of those in. So hopefully you all have your notebook and pen. So anytime you come to my training, bring some notepad and a pencil, all right? So when I think of going back to being feminine, I think of collaborative. I think of being friendly. So when you're thinking of, now I'm gonna go do spell check, so you guys forgive me if I mistype something. Supportive, empathetic. Those are words I use to describe me being feminine. And thank you, Angela. And that is what I bring to the table every day. I'm a woman. I have a master's degree. I'm a published author. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I have a certification in change management. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm working on a professional coaching license. I make pretty good money at my job. And I have influence there. I work with the senior leadership, making big organizational changes. So I feel that I am definitely a ambitious woman. I have an opinion about everything. But I'm still feminine because I'm collaborative, because I'm approachable, because I'm friendly, because I'm compassionate. And so that makes me feminine to me and my definition. And so when I think of independent, I am independent to make my choice, but I'm still very dependent on others to help support me. I'm dependent on you all to show up. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. I depend on my husband, right, to help make choices and life decisions for us. I depend on my employer to pay me my paycheck and to help me fulfill part of my calling. And so I'm feminine and I'm independent and I'm dependent at the same time. And as Angela stated, a lot of times, and this gets to the crux of it, is that for those who are struggling and may find themselves in a place where, because you are independent, because you are have been on your own forever, because you may have been hurt in the past and others have not come through, we tend to put up this guard. We tend to put up this, I always say it's a castle. We are a castle, and we have our soldiers there waiting to shoot down anybody that comes our way. And a lot of times we as ambitious women struggle with this whole being feminine yet we're independent thing, is because we are really afraid of being hurt. We are afraid of disappointment. We still remember how that felt when it happened before. And so we build up this wall and we call it, well, men are just intimidated by me. Maybe, maybe not. All the men that I've talked to said, I'm not intimidated by successful or smart women. They do two things. They said, I use that I'm intimidated by her if I think, you know, she's really mean. And I use that as a way not to hurt her feelings, but for me to walk away and say, hey, you know what? I can't really hang. I'm not on your level. I'm intimidated by you. So some guys have said, no, I use that as a way to let her down without hurting her feelings. And then other guys said also that, yes, I'm intimidated by some women in a sense of respect. Like, man, she got it going on. Let me pop my collars. Let me come to her correct. So I respect her, but I'm not like she's, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm backing away. I can't handle it. They're like, no, it's just a respect thing. And so we have to balance and make sure that when we are saying that as an ambitious woman, that we have trouble being feminine or bringing out those great qualities that we all have, being collaborative, being supportive, being compassionate, being approachable, all those things that femininity brings, that we're really showing up and allowing that bright side of us to show and not be hindered because we can get it ourselves, which really is a mask for saying I'm too afraid and to be vulnerable. And when we say I'm too afraid to be vulnerable, we're really saying is that I'm afraid to be loved. I'm afraid to give love. Is this making sense to you? Erica says, don't have an issue, ask for help. Unfortunately, due to non-productive relationships, a lot of women are forced to live an independent life, therefore making it hard for some men to be able to handle that. Just the way of life, not that they don't want someone to be able to depend on. I totally get that, Erica. Totally get that. And I think that plays more into what I'm saying. A lot of times we're forced into this mindset that I'm independent and I have to do it myself because I've been let down so many times. And while that may be true, that it is a fact, it still doesn't mean, it still does not alleviate the fact that we truly are dependent because we need somebody. As human beings, we are not created to be alone. The Bible says it is not good for man to be alone. And so we build up this wall of independence because we've been let down, because we've been disappointed, because people have not come through. And I think it's time to not use that as a shield anymore. I think we have to have a healing that comes over our hearts so that we can give the next person an opportunity and not hold them to the person who couldn't step up to the plate for whatever reason, right? Not judging them, not making it good or bad. They chose to do something else, fine, right? But not now. What we're doing is created a barrier for the person who will be there for us because we're saying, well, I'm independent. And then we're not allowing our feminine side to show. Angela says, ditto, Marlena. Most men I've talked to say that they aren't intimidated. It's only a letdown technique. Yeah, sometimes it's a letdown technique, and sometimes it's a compliment to the woman that you are. And so it really depends on what you want. We have about 5 more minutes left. So my point today is to say, as a successful, ambitious, go-getter woman, single woman, I think that's great. Keep getting it. I think if you want and desire to be in a committed relationship, I think that we have to realize that we are dependent on others and that that's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let people in to help us. It's okay to show our feminine side, even though we're still gonna get it, right? I'm married. I still get it. My husband takes good care of us, but I'm still getting it, right? It's just who I am, right? It's just who I am. But that doesn't mean that I can't be compassionate, empathetic, and inclusive, right? And that doesn't take away my independent right of choice, because I still get to choose. I'm submissive to my husband, but I choose to be submissive, right? I choose to follow his lead. And when I disagree, right? We have a conversation, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay, because that brings out the prince in him even more, right? That brings out and allows him to lead me and not have to drag me along, because really no prince wants to have to drag you along anyway. So men want a woman who can walk on her own, want a woman who can stand beside him, want a woman that can support him, right? They want the same thing we want. It's so funny when I talk to the men and I talk to the women, we all want the same thing. We all want love. We all want support. We all want somebody to have us, whether it's a good day or a bad day, in our weakest moments, in our high moments. We all want the same thing, but it's these barriers, like being feminine is somehow being weak, and being independent somehow means that I'm not letting anybody into my space because I've been hurt before. And those all become brick walls between you and what you desire in a relationship. Is that making sense? I hope so. I hope so. We have about 4 minutes. If you have any questions, thoughts, or disagreements, right, Marlena, we all have our right to our own opinion. This is mine. Let me know. Chat me up. Let me know. Again, for those who may be joining or watching the replay, I am Marlena Cole. I am a dating coach for single, ambitious women who desire to be in a long-term relationship or marriage, but may be struggling to meet quality men. I help them meet, connect, and build healthy relationships. Long life relationships is my goal. And my website is www.lovemeright.net. Love you to subscribe and receive my training, especially if you're stuck in a cycle of failed relationships where it starts and putters out. I have a great training for you, free training, that will show you kind of what's happening and really break that down for you. So any thoughts, questions? If there is any, I can't see them. We have about 3 more minutes. I really want to keep these to about 20, 30 minutes. Denise says, yes, makes lots of sense. Absolutely. So what are our next steps? So, okay, Marlene, you gave me all this information. What do I need to do? Right. So what I want you to do for this week is write down what your fears are. Angela laid hers out. When you say being feminine, that you struggle with being feminine because you're independent, or that men are intimidated by you, or maybe it's men, not my job, but men's job to figure out how to keep score with me, right? Because it's basically what they're trying to learn how to do. Write down all your thoughts about being feminine and how men approach you, and being independent. Write all those down and see if those are really fears, which there probably are. If they are, say it's a fear, right? Say, these are my thoughts. Is it a fear, or is it really the truth? And if it is a fear, I need you to replace that fear with something truthful. So just like I did with being feminine, the person I was coaching kind of gave me these negative things about being feminine, like it's weak. And she said submissive, kind of in a not so good way. It's kind of that, kind of dingy. Her view of being feminine was not a strong positive. So what fear, rewrite that story. So if you say submissive, right, if that's whatever, I'm using an example, I put, instead of submissive in a negative way, I said it's power under control, because I'm choosing to be submissive, which then when I have choice, I'm in power. Approachable, right? It's not that you could just walk over me, but no, I'm approachable. So just basically replace the negative thought with a positive viewpoint of it, so that we can start letting down the guard of being somehow that because you're independent, you can't show up and be feminine to draw out the prince that's in the Playboy. And if you have any questions, I still have some time. So it's 9:29. Direct message me and maybe we can jump on a call tonight and work through whatever you're struggling with. Maybe we can do 20 minutes. I probably can do 30. Direct message me if you like to jump. Homework assignment. Yes, thank you, Angela. Write down what your fears are and rewrite the story with positive thoughts. Yes, thank you. See, this is why I need to somehow be showing this. All right. I hope you all enjoyed this. Direct message me. Let me know if this is on my list, www.lovemeright.net. And next week, I'll probably have to do this on Wednesday. My husband and I have some conflicting meetings, or he's starting class basically on Thursday. So I need to switch this to Wednesday so I can get the baby to bed on Thursday night. So, all right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We will continue and we'll go more into how to find the prince in the Playboy series next Wednesday, and I'll post that later. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you all for joining.